Hey everybody, welcome back to Snapshot. This is episode 5, Monday edition. As always, I'm joined by my best friend, Collin, and as the guest today, we have Alec. Alec, say hi to the people.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely no problem at all. Alec, now, we're here to talk to you today because as Season 7 is coming to a close and Season 8 is upon us, you are one of the many people who are in the draft pool. Specifically, you are a hot commodity being a goalie, as the number one pick is theoretically going to take one, Austin, who is going to be on the show in exactly a week. He is thought to be taking a goalie because he wants to try to bounce back at Ford this year. But before we get into any discussion, any topics today, let me just give you a brief introduction so the people know who you are. Now, Alec, unlike our other guests, is actually a late bloomer in the league. He didn't join, I believe, until... Now, he joined in Season 5 or Season 4, one of the two, when he was signed on a contract, but you were unable to play in any games due to a contract negotiation kind of dispute that occurred. So you never really...
Dispute.
I mean, it was worldwide. It was bad.
I believe it was Season 4.
Season 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we come back 2 seasons later, see it, Season 6, the relaunch season with 4 teams. Alec was actually my teammate, and we went on an undefeated regular and postseason to capture the Gugas Cup in Season 6, posting a perfect 7-0 record with Alec in between the pipes. So, actually, that makes Alec, I believe, the only current player without a loss in the GKHA. So, that's going to be a very tough thing to defend going into next season, Alec.
Very happy about it.
No, I mean, you got a lot riding for you. I mean, personally, we'll see later on the way that breaks down, but...
Chris, you have all the stats. I'm sorry to interrupt. You have all the stats there. What's the longest streak, winning streak people have gone on?
See, I actually don't have the records and such, but I know it's Austin, I think.
I know it's Austin. I just don't know how many games it is.
I honestly think it was something crazy like 14 games in a row.
Oh,
wow.
Gosh. Okay.
Oh, yes, it was. Because, he went 4 in the postseason. Then he went the whole next season, which would have been Season 4, which was a 7-game series. That's up to 11. And then add 4 again. Okay, it was 15. 15 was the longest win streak. So Alec is a little under halfway there.
Yeah.
Almost
so,
there.
but anyway, though, Alec, another point that's interesting is that you actually, upon being an undefeated player and also being a goalie, you are also, how we could say, one of the up-and-coming goalies who has a chance to knock off what I like to call the top 3, which would be, I consider, Collin and... my bad. Collin, Tommy, and Mike, who are your traditional power top 3 goalies. Now, you are probably of the top of your class for the younger generation of goalies. How do you see yourself kind of stacking up against those top 3?
Well, I will say that body-wise, I'm bigger than them, so I take that more than that. And
I beg to differ.
No, not Collin. I'm saying the other 2.
So we're talking about Mike and Tommy.
Yeah. But
okay, yeah.
I will say that I believe that I move more than Collin, which Collin can debate me on that. I think I'll win. But
I think you'll win that anyways. Yes, I don't move.
Collin doesn't move. Collin tends to lean, as you know.
I do. I lean.
Side to side.
I do.
But other 2 guys, they do go all out, which I believe I do as well. But I think that I can look at them for experience for some, as well as to learn from them. But also, I bring my own style. I think I think people like to be a little individual when they play. They like to get their own goals, but I'm just in it to win it. I don't care what happens. If we win by 1 goal, I'm happy.
That's a very good attitude. I mean, I've played with you. I definitely got that mindset. I mean, the whole postseason you put up 1 goal, and I never heard you complain once. You never were. I've had teammates before who always wanted to switch to forward, even if the game was close. I mean, you were always you were for the win. You were very for the team, I will say. But now, going back to the top 3, I know you said you learned from them and also to collect experience from them. Obviously, one of them is sitting, well, not right next to you, but let's just say it there. He's close on the camera screen.
Hi, how are you?
But I would like to go back into this because I'm a Ford, and I've stuck my neck out for you when we were talking in private, actually, with Mike before the show had started. And we were talking about who we think some of the best draft picks were, and I showed him some projections, and I really do believe you have one of the best chances to go number 1. Now, whether or not Austin feels the same way, we're going to find out. But the reason why I thought you were such a good pick to go number one was really because you do bring your own brand of style, but I just thought from a goalkeeping standpoint, you have a lot of the basics down, but also you just have a lot of the grit. Like you really, when I remember playing, you didn't really let in a lot of goals. Obviously, we never were able to lose, but I feel like the only thing you needed to develop was your shooting, maybe. But that isn't a very big deal if you're going to be with a good forward such as Austin. So
Exactly.
so I want to know though what you think, how you stack up compared to each of those top three goals, and which one you think you have the best chance of overthrowing. And we can start, of course, with Mike.
So Mike has been in the league a lot longer than me, obviously. I only played for one season, but I think Mike is, again, he's like me in the sense that, well, I'm like him in the sense that he does 100% of the time. He has a lot of pride for this sport, and he just loves playing. But I think that I myself, as like a body, I'm a lot bigger. I can take up a lot more space. Mike, you're gonna have a lot of gaps with that. I think that I'm more flexible than Mike. I can stretch my legs out. I figured out a way to cut the two bottom corners of the net to where you have to shoot above my legs. But Mike, I think right now I'm not at that yet, but I think that I will be soon.
No, I mean, it's a good point because I think Mike is at his prime. If you're looking at it right now, I mean, he's coming off, I think, Kyle, what was it? Is it 4 straight finals appearances? This is his 4th straight one?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mike is obviously not slowing down, but I do think you're right. I mean, you being bigger is a huge advantage right off the gate, especially on the bigger nets. And it's interesting what you said about the corners. What do you mean exactly when you said you cut off more of that bottom of the net?
I spread my legs out more, and I cover my 5-hole with my stick. So I spread my legs out more so that the two bottom corners of the net, you can't just slide in like that. You have to raise the ball.
So how does that make you different from Mike? And even if I'm not saying different better, but even just in style, like how do you think that benefits you?
A ball can't just roll in. Like you won't have those accidental goals. And I think that it's also harder to shoot on the top corners because if my legs are spread out more, my shoulders are going to be wider. They're going to be closer to the two top corners, so there's going to be less space to shoot in, and you really only have like my sides are my weakest link.
Now, Collin, this sounds an awful lot like a hybrid between the traditional stand-up goalie and then your butterfly. Do you see any similarities between that?
Definitely, because I definitely sit as wide as I can, cover off the bottom posts, and I feel like I give up about the same amount as he does in that situation where there's just tiny little slots in my game that are covered up. Of course, I don't have to worry about my 5-hole, so I can focus a little bit more attention on some of those higher up holes. So yeah, I definitely see this as an introduction to the hybrid style of goalie in the league.
Yeah, it's kind of a variation between the traditional 2-knee kind of stand-up and then your butterfly, which is the crisscross applesauce.
Right, and I've noticed that there have been some other goalies who have done that in the past, but they've gone back to the 2-knee style just because it was familiar to them. So I think that him starting in this way, Alex starting this way, right off the bat, is gonna keep him into the style. So,
and also just the fact that he is bigger. I mean, physically being wider and weighing more is advantageous
because the goalie that sticks out in my head is George. I know George did this, and I'm no offense to George, but he's definitely not one of the top tier players in the league, and he's definitely a lot smaller in physique. His physique is a lot skinnier and a lot smaller than Fowler's. So it's he definitely tried to do that as well. So you can see that some players do experiment with that style of goalie.
But Alec is kind of, you right now, I'm reading it, you're more the forefront of this. You have not necessarily perfected it, but you are the closest we have come to seeing a true hybrid goalie style.
I could see forwards modeling play after him.
Goalies, I believe, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Alec, you want to jump in? Yeah.
Now, really, the only downside to that hybrid goalie thing is you're going to have a lot more space since your feet are spread out. You're going to have a lot more space between your legs. And sometimes the ball is going to slip in between your legs, like in your 5-hole.
Yeah,
and
no,
that did happen. It did happen like once or twice. But you know what? You got to learn from it.
Yeah, you learn to close the gap. So now, here's an interesting question. I don't know how well you might be able to answer this, but In your own idea, how long do you see it yourself if you were to play starting in season 8 every season going forward? How many seasons do you think it would take you until you were able to overcome Mike as the overall better goalie?
Mike
And
and
I
I
mean,
have
yeah, I
Mike and
want you to answer this.
Mike and I have been friends since first grade, and definitely a lot of competition between us. We hate each other in first grade. Kickball was always a competition. He can tell you all stories about that. Um, right now, Mike's on top. I think that I gotta get at least another season or another season and a half to get at that level. It might honestly, if I'm at the top of my game at the beginning of this first season, I think you can see that happen.
So you're saying somewhere in between the season 9 season in between somewhere in the season 9 realm, you can see yourself overtaking Mike in that top 3 spot.
I think it can happen.
Very, very interesting. Now, moving on from Mike, there is this season's undisputed top goaltender, Thomas. Almost said his last name, I bet. Tommy. Now, Tommy, as we've mentioned countless times, had a great stat line this year. He's in the finals. Roll damn waz, as some would say. Load the wagon. But Tommy is different than Mike because Tommy is a more traditional goalie, being that he's a save-first type mentality. How do you think now you compare to Thomas's style?
I think that you can agree that I don't go for shots. I go for passes. I go for assists. I go for stopping the ball first. I think that we're similar in that realm. He's a natural hockey goalie, so that might be something that translates better than any sport that I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to answer. How do I compare myself with him? Because I played with him one season, and I didn't really see a difference between us. Like in that season, I thought I was better. Like obviously, we won that championship, so that could just be you as a forward or me as a goalie, or just both of us combined.
Right.
But I thought that season I played better than him. But he seems like he's on a streak right now, so see how it goes if he stays on fire for the next season.
No, it is tough because Tommy actually did play forward in season 6.
He
Yeah.
has
So it is
that.
tougher
He
for you
has
to get
that
a look at.
ability to play both positions.
No, that's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
Tommy, if you need him to, can step in, play forward, and be a force. He
And
really
I
can.
and I feel like Mike has. I feel like I get the sense that Mike has thought about the idea of switching to forward every once in a while. He's never done it,
I've
of
sensed
course,
it,
but
yeah.
I sense he's got that sort of he's got that in his head a little bit.
I see it as a pent-up frustration. Sometimes I think the stress of playing goalie does get to him.
Right.
And I think sometimes he does think that maybe it would be better off if he was to take a mid-tier goalie and try to play forward.
Right. And
But
so I'd be curious to see if he ever acts upon that.
you'd be curious if he did, if he would stay with the short stick as well. I mean, that's the only thing he's ever known. But
Right.
to play defense with the short stick is tough because
That's
the
hard.
longer sticks, the longer sticks are easier to get around and poke with
Yeah.
defensively.
And in my opinion, if you're standing up, it's also easier to shoot with those.
Yeah, it's less you have to bend down.
Yeah,
So
there's a
it's
lot of
easier
bending
to
down.
Smack.
Yeah.
You can actually shoot and aim a little bit more with the bigger sticks.
Yeah.
So, Alec, I won't ask you the same question about how long it would take you to overtake Tommy because it looks like you don't really have a grasp
Yeah.
on how good Tommy is, being that you were in the league this season, which we'll get to shortly. But I'm actually going to stick my neck out in the line. I would say if you were to play continually the next 2 seasons, I honestly would say that it would take you like season 10, one season beyond, to become at least even with Tommy. And I'm saying this because you do have the physical attributes that are beyond him, being that you are bigger.
Yep.
And taller. And I mean taller, like you were kind of, you know what I mean, like you're wider, like bigger.
Yeah.
Your torso covers more, but your legs are also bigger. Tommy is always going to have great reflexes. He's always going to have that hockey sense. But there's something in me, and I mean, obviously, I have a very high opinion of you from our season together. But I really do think you have what it takes if you could play the next 2 seasons and put together 2 very successful ones to overtake Tommy by the time we get into season 11. And that's my personal opinion. Collin, do you have any weight on that?
No, I kind of agree with you on that. I think that the rate he's growing as a player, the rate you're growing as a player, I definitely think that that's a possibility. And I mean, like I say, the future with Mike is unknown still. I mean, it seems like he's staying as a goalie, but you
Yes,
can definitely
at
see
least for
those.
next season.
Yeah, but you can see those thoughts forming in his head. So you never know if he switches out or not. But I think that no matter what, Feller, definitely you have a chance of overtaking.
Thank you.
Now, Moving on, the last one very quickly. Collin, I'll let you take this away because I want to know from your perspective, Collin, how do you see Alex stacks up against you?
I think I'm more of a defensive-minded goalie myself. So I feel like I'm usually looking for clearance or a pass rather than trying to shoot. Sometimes I will just shoot and pray, but
Give it a whack.
yeah, give it a whack. But I think
Sometimes it goes in on Mike. Who knows?
yeah, sometimes it does, and sometimes you win championships. But basically, no, we're all having fun here. But basically, we're all having fun. But basically, I see myself at a little bit more of a disadvantage with these larger nets, and I will admit I'm not the same player I used to be in that sense. So I feel like eventually Fowler can get to the point where he's even greater than me.
Wow. Fowler, just care to respond to that?
That sounded a lot more egotistical than it was meant to sound.
No, I thought you did fine. Fowler, you care to respond to that?
So, Collin obviously is a bigger body than me. He's been playing so much longer than I have.
What are you trying to say, you motherfucker?
What'd you say?
Nothing.
Come, what'd you say?
Nothing.
Fine, skip over it.
All right. So, Collin's a bigger guy than I am physically, but I think on these nets, I'm faster than him, so I can react better than him. But also, he has that advantage where he's bigger than me, can take up more space. But I think that we even it out when it comes to reflexes and our size. But I think that we both are similar in the sense that we take blind shots. If a goal goes in, it's purely luck.
Blind shots. Yeah. I also want to point out the I factor. You have 2 and I have 1. So.
That's always been a hindrance. Now, there's also the rumors that Collin is actually slimming down this season. That is the rumors that have been circulating, that Collin is trying to be more of a reactionary goalie, trying to lose some weight in the pouch.
Where have those rumors come from?
So anyway, Alec, obviously a lot of high praise thrown your way, but now we're going to get a little bit more cynical. As it has been, Season 7, you were absent due to a leave of absence. Yep. Made it be redundant. But anyway, obviously you were away during the time of the season. I believe you were in New York City checking out some new contract offers. We'll talk about that at some other point. But I would like to mention that at the heart of this whole problem, you did take an entire season off after riding very high on your championship team. Now, coming back in Season 8, you're going to have a somewhat level playing field, being that the next time we play after Season 7 will be about a month away.
Yep.
So do you feel that you are at any more of a disadvantage than any other players, being that you are now a season behind some of the sophomores who are coming into the league?
Not at all.
Not at all. Care to elaborate?
So, if anything, I'm even with them because if people just came into the league for the first or second time this past season and I missed the season, then this will be their second season back. This will be my second season back, and look at that, even the playing field. And I think that me as a player, I don't get cold. Like if you just put me in there and I'm gonna do the best that I can. I think that I stack up with everyone that was there this year versus that year, and taking a year off, it sucked, but also I'm truly prepared and I'm eager, and I got like that mentality. I got that taste to win again.
No, most definitely. But now allow me to push back here a little bit, and I'm in no mean trying to insult your career, but historically this season, players returning from an extended leave of absence did poorly. I specifically here cite Ricky Novia taking a season off in Season 6, and Austin Ngara, his teammate, taking a season off for 2 seasons in Season 5 and Season 6. Now, 2 good players, Austin obviously a little more of a career than Ricky, but both with championships. Both players had a subpar season, especially Austin, and both had been taking extended leave of absence. I'm not saying that they are awful players. I'm not saying that they are not as good as they could, and they can't return to the level they once were. But it was shown this season that returning after a leave of absence is detrimental to your career. Now, there is slight exceptions in Eric Galeska, being that he had a very good year, but some will argue that this was really his first full year in the league. Yep. So, offering that, I feel like, yeah, you can come back good. You can come back not cold. You cannot feel that type of pressure. but inevitably you're still going against people who have played more recently. As much practice as you want to get, as much as you feel that you can come in cold, there is nothing like when you actually step into that game mentality.
Yep.
So I think, yeah, you could probably get to where you were, but don't be so sure that you could just come back in first game ice cold and start putting together 1-2 goal games. Now,
Yep.
feel free to push back against me. I've said my piece. You go.
All right, so I think that what makes a great player is their teammate, and obviously, I think that with the Ricky and Austin situation, that maybe they just were compatible with each other.
Can I also just point out real quick, they didn't have. I'm sorry to step all over you here, but I just kind of wanted to get this in before I forgot. Ricky and Austin also played with each other. They missed an extended amount of time, and then they came back and played with each other. Alec here is going to be coming back in, and he's going to be playing with someone who's fresh off of the last season. So so I feel like now correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like that could help in snapping back into that game mentality.
That is true. I mean, like, obviously, you have a good point, Alec. We'll let you finish your train of thought. I'm sorry for this, but he kind of brings a valid point. I mean, you could be partnered theoretically with Austin if you go the number 1 pick, or Andy or me if you get to go 3rd or 4th, something like that.
Or me if I do something crazy.
Or you just go buck wild and go forward. But anyway, it's his own mentality. Like, yeah, Austin and Ricky kind of fed off each other because they both hadn't played, but still, that shouldn't contribute to how poorly you yourself play. Like, if you're a forward not able to score, that doesn't have to do with your goalie.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. But it's like you have, in order to like get into the game and start playing, you have to have your teammate there to pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there are certain people who I can tell you if I was partnered with, we wouldn't be a good team.
Right.
And I think that I have to have someone that's compatible with me. It's like you have to have people that, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but you have to have people that you're compatible with, some people that you're like friends with or on good terms with, people that that will be there to pick you up. But I think that
the chemistry has to be there.
Yeah. As long as you have someone who's there to encourage you, whether you're a forward or a goalie, and someone that doesn't yell at you when you do something wrong, then I think that you should be good. You should be stacked up. You don't have someone that's overly aggressive towards your teammate. Like,
right.
If you're mad at someone, just take it out in the game. Don't get mad at your teammate.
The last thing you want is friction between teammates.
Exactly.
Right. Bruins franchises.
But also, I do think that I could be at a disadvantage because who knows? If I do come back and I am cold, like, that could suck. But I will say that there's been sports I haven't played for years, and I come back and I play. I don't think that this is anything different from that.
Mm-hmm. Once you kind of know what you're doing, it's a matter of just getting back on the horse.
It's like I don't mean to, just say that Marshawn Lynch is doing well this season. It's like he took the season off last year, and then he came in his first game and had like a touchdown. Like,
right,
he's still there.
It's in your DNA.
Exactly. He has I have experience. I played one season. I did very well that season. I don't think that that's gonna lose. I don't think that's gonna leave me.
No, you sound very confident. I hope it translates to you. I hope whoever picks you up, you perform to the best of your abilities. Now, Alec, we're going to get to your question that you want to ask very shortly. I just thought of something that I want to ask, and it's going to cause maybe a little bit of controversy, but you are friends with one of my other dear friends who was my goalie this year, Matt, who is part of the BGU. I won't say his last name, but Matt P, if you will. Now, Matt, to me, seems like your most direct goalie competition. You guys are both big. You guys are both former football players.
Yep.
You guys both were not scoring threats, but you were both primarily goalie first saving, if you will. What separates you from Matt that makes you the clear number 1 goalie pick in this draft?
I don't get tired. I don't complain. I score randomly, but I tend to score like every other game, or every 2 games. I think I'm quicker. He has me on size. He's a little bit bigger than me. He's taller than me, but I think that I make up for it in speed I'm a great teammate. I listen to my teammate. I think that as well as I I have faster reflexes. I think that I'm an overall better player. Yes, he's a bigger body, and yes, he can debate this all he wants, but I really don't think that he's a match for me.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. We'll be sure to have Matt on, or at least send in a video response arguing that point when we do our pre-draft episode, because I'm sure he has a very.
I'm curious for that too.
I'm sure Matt has some very different opinions.
That wasn't out of disrespect either. That's just my overall.
No, with all the love. With all the love.
Obviously, I'm going to be biased because it's me talking about myself.
Right.
Got to sell yourself.
Alec, as we move on to the third segment, this is all about you. You have an opportunity to ask me and Collin a question that, of course, you can answer yourself. So, with that, what is your question, Alec?
So, out of all of the top forwards in the league, which forward would play best goalie?
Ooh. Which forward would play best goal? Do you mean from this past season or anybody who's like a traditional forward?
Let's talk anyone who's a traditional forward. Put someone, so no one can be a hybrid. No one can be one or the other. They have to be either a goalie or a forward.
So someone like a Sal who can play both. We want to discredit that. You're looking for people like me, people like my brother, people like Eric who are primarily forwards.
Exactly.
Eric played both.
Eric played both. Well, not, but he's pretty much a forward now, though.
That's true. He's played more time as forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say Chris. Because I feel like size plays a factor into it, and you're definitely a more broad person in the way that you're built. So I feel like you can take up a lot more net, and you still got the physicality. So I feel like you can bring all the I feel like you can bring all the accolades a goalie needs, and you can also have that scoring threat as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it before, and I've had games where I've been good. I've had games where I've almost blown it. I mean, one time I remember I switched with Alec, and I let up 2 goals in the last, 45 seconds.
In the final game.
Yeah, I was like, ugh. Like, I just can't make saves just because I'm not used to it. But you're right. I mean, being big is going to help because I'm just going to take up more of the net.
And as you play, you'd get used to it as well, so.
Yeah, that would be scoring, I guess.
It'd probably be a problem, or not a problem. It'd probably be harder at first. You know, you got to get down the tracking and whatnot. But then I think as a little bit further into a season, you'd probably be able to be more comfortable with it. It's just that that actually doing it part.
Yeah, like getting used to playing goalie. I mean, for me personally, I think I would go with Vinny. I remember when me and him were a team in season 5, we switched a lot, but when me and Vinny were together, Vinny was he would have games where he was unstoppable. I remember he would dive in front of the net and make ridiculous fucking saves. So to
That's
me,
true.
and plus
I didn't even think about Vinny.
And Vinny could put the ball back in the fucking net. I mean, to me, Vinny was he was going to let up 4 goals a game, 4 or 5, but he's also going to score 2. So it kind of evened out to the point where Vinny was letting in 3. And then you'd also have games where he'd let 1.
Right.
But, and plus he's older. He's gotten bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my pick is Vinny. Tyler, what about you?
So I'm scrolling through Instagram right now, looking at who my my options are.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Chris, I'm thinking you.
Really?
I'm thinking you are because I played soccer with you. I played basketball with you.
Yeah.
And you're just an overall athlete. And I feel like wherever you go, you're just going to be good at whatever you're playing.
Right.
So you're saying he's just going to translate just from nature of being an athletic kid is just going to translate into being goalie.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Okay. No, it's a fair point.
It's there.
I think out of all the people who we've said, because I don't count my brother because he's only been a forward for a season. Obviously, I think I would maybe put him at the top over me just because he's played for so long, but I'm discrediting him right now. I mean, I have the luxury of being the biggest because actually, are we counting Austin in this debate or no?
I was putting him as a goalie.
Yeah, I was kind of counting him as a goalie.
Yeah, he switched a lot this season. Okay, we'll count him out. Yeah. No, I can see it. I have the advantage of being one of the bigger people who are considered, and also just from a scoring standpoint too, I guess. You know what I mean? If you let up 4 or 5 goals a game, but you can score 1 or 2 consistently, it's basically the same as, letting in 2 or 3 a game.
Exactly.
So it does help even it out. No, it's definitely an interesting question, Collin. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, do you think like me compared to Austin, who would you rather take? I'm just thinking about this now.
Probably Austin.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fella, what about you?
You, if you're on my team, because we just have that. Like, it's there.
That innate, beautiful chemistry.
There you go.
Oh, good times. Well, Alec, this has been an absolutely splendid episode. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for coming on, bud.
It's awesome.
Obviously, I wish you the best of luck. I know you're not going to be in attendance for the finals, but you will be hopefully phoned in.
Yes.
If you do get drafted, which honestly, buddy, you got a great chance getting drafted. You got an awesome career ahead of you, man.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I had a blast.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Collin. Thank you, Chris.
No problem. Collin, with that, you want to see us out?
Yeah, thank you guys for watching Snapshot. What episode is this, Chris?
5, buddy.
All right, there you go. Thank you for watching episode number 5 of Snapshot. If you enjoyed, please feel free to check out our social medias linked in the description of this video, our Snapchat, our Instagram, and our Twitter accounts. All of those live stats and tweets throughout all the games and whatnot. So go ahead and check those out. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Snapshot. We'll see you guys next week with another episode.